Are the stars aligning for the Toon? Is Champions League qualification within our grasp? Let's find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Sham. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Sham
All right. How are you folks doing tonight? I hope you are all well. I hope you're all blessed, whether you're going out to work, whether you're coming back in, whether you had a long day, short day, restful day, stressful day, working day, non-working day. I hope you are blessed. I hope you are doing well and everything is going your way. It is going Newcastle's way at the moment. 3-0 against Leicester. We're going to be talking about that, giving a bit of a reaction to it. What was your thoughts on the game? What was your thoughts on the victory? Make sure you guys let me know. And as always, folks, do like, share, and subscribe. We're also going to do a little transfer discussion, a little couple players to look at, depending on how much time we have. Quite, exciting links that Newcastle linked with, as it always is. Linking season. It's transfer season. It's football talk season, especially coming up to the summer window. A lot of eyes are towards it, but we're especially excited, obviously, as Toon fans, in terms of Newcastle United, everything that's happening at the moment for Newcastle. So, guys, let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in our conversations. What's your thoughts on the Leicester game? Obviously, we won the game 3-0. I was especially happy about that. Aaron Kane, good to see you, sir. Good evening to you. How you doing? Hope you're well. Let me know your thoughts on the Leicester game. My initial thoughts, and let me share the screen for some of the stats. As always, guys, I mean, going into this game, I always say the social media is one thing, match going fans are another thing. Obviously, just fans in every day and the people that you're talking to outside of social media, I feel like it's a different thing. So whenever I say these things, it's not to do with like every fan and everybody in general, but I do sometimes feel like maybe folks on social media, and look, everybody can feel how they want to feel, but a little bit too nervous. Like people were saying, like going into the game, how Leicester's bench is better than our bench. How we shouldn't be taking this. I can't believe people are taking this game for granted. It's not a shoe-in. All these things are true, but you can tell people's nerves are jangling. People were worried, and we still got, at the time, we still had about 10 games left, 9 games left. And like, what's the deal? What's the problem with all of that? And sometimes you can't be overconfident. I get it. You can't be like just not thinking that the game is done and dusted, but show some confidence in Stu, because the team is playing with confidence, and they gave what result. It was a professional performance, obviously speaking in hindsight, but I guess going into the game, I feel like sometimes I have to keep my eyes off of social media sometimes, because I ended up too many negative thoughts, negative comments and posts. Nothing necessarily saying, like I said, nothing necessarily saying, oh, the team is not doing this, or I'm not happy. But it's like, I guess I'm more of a type of person where it's not necessarily negative or positive, but like you gotta believe in yourself, believe in your team, and at the same time, even if you want to be realistic and say, look, we're going into the game, we're going into good form. We've won the League Cup. We've just beat Brentford. We're expected to win. I believe we can do it, but we can't take this game for granted. Fair play. But I feel like some folks are a bit overdoing it, a bit too much, like, oh, this could be it type of thing. And just like, calm. We've been in Champions League races not too long ago, actually. So we've been in cup finals, and we've overcome the pressure. This team is building, and it's building that experience. It's becoming more resilient under pressure. So you got to have that confidence, And again, I'm not saying we're going to wipe every team off the planet and do all of that kind of stuff, but 4 games in a row, four wins in a row. A lot of teams in the Premier League have not managed to do that, have not been able to achieve that. And Newcastle, I think this is probably, I don't know, can't remember now, but this we already had a 9-game winning streak, and obviously now on a 4-game winning streak, and we're doing so well. And to be honest, I'm so proud of the boys, proud of the fans, proud of Eddie Howe and everything that we're doing. That I'm like, you know what, brilliant. Like, I was just, for me, in terms of going into the game, I was looking, I said, look, it is one of those ones where, you're expected to win. You don't want to give the team, especially of where Leicester City are. We talked about it in the preview show, where I think the main thing was a psychological battle. They are psychologically emotionally and psychologically a team that's very much essentially just down in the dumps. We've been there. We know it. We've been relegated before. We've fought relegation before. We know what it feels like. And when you're going into these games, the main thing is to take the control straight away. And Leicester City obviously started off, especially in the first minute, started off really, really well, I thought. And obviously, the first minute, really. After that, we took over, essentially. But obviously, I think from the kickoff, there was a head on to Vardy. Vardy had a shot on Pope, and Pope had to save it. Then we had to do with a corner. But then from then, I feel like we took over. And we really controlled that game, and we took over that midfield. It took over the attacking areas as well. And the goals that we scored, the overlapping run from Livramento, and the really good ball across the box that found Jacob Murphy. Obviously, Shaw's, I was going to say Shaw's goal. It felt like a goal when he hit the crossbar, but it wasn't, obviously. But it was extraordinary shot on goal. And then the Jacob Murphy follow-up of his 2 goals now. Harvey Barnes then also followed up with a 3rd goal. Again, playing angry, which I'm happy to see. Like I said, there's no more sad face. Harvey Barnes, very much focus. And got the bit between the teeth, just like Eddie Howe said, like he's got that bit between the teeth. He's playing with that. And even if Gordon is fit, he is fit for the next game or the next running games. So long as Harvey Barnes plays like this, there's no need to rush Gordon back in, which is a testament to Harvey Barnes and just in terms of how he's playing. So generally, really, really happy in terms of the game. But before I go on further, I've got a few comments in here as well. Leicester and Brentford. Sorry, Aidan Pitcher. Good to see you. Good evening, sir. Leicester and Brentford show me something that big clubs do. That big clubs do still win when not at our best. We're getting there. Yeah, and you know what? You're absolutely right, and I said it in a couple of shorts that I did where about winning ugly from the West Ham game, and include the West Ham game as well. If you remember, we won 1-0. We won. Was it 1-0 or 1? It was 1. Was it 1-0 we won? It was 1-0, and that game was ugly. That that game was ugly, but we won. We won. That Bruno goal as well. And that's what counts. And these 3 points is what counts towards now. Newcastle winning ugly, Newcastle winning dominant, Newcastle are doing all those type of things that we need a team that's chasing a big goal at Champions League qualification. That is so important for us. So it's good to see. It's good to see. I agree with you, Aidan. Aaron Cave, second half I was really disappointed by. Happy with the score, but I wanted more control, and the ball retention was shocking. How it really needs to work on this. Yeah, I think I agree with that in terms of the second half. I wonder though, and let me know what you think. I wonder, when, how do I say it? When, in this case it was Leicester, but when the team plays so badly, you're almost, and the game became so easy. It's sometimes that kind of level of bad, that level of not really good, essentially, can drag you down as well. And I think Newcastle were fighting really hard not to be dragged down into it, and they struggled, especially in the second half, to do that. It's a bit like Tyson Fury. For anybody that watches boxing, Tyson Fury, we know, for instance, whenever like if there's any boxing fans, but whenever he fought an opponent that was a level, just a level below, a couple levels below, he almost inevitably fought at their level. He would win the fight, but the fight would just be just not be great to watch. But as soon as Tyson fought somebody that he had respect for, there was a level of respect for, like Deontay Wilder in their first fight and so forth, and other fighters he fought. He saw the levels rise, and I kind of sensed that from Newcastle playing Leicester. I mean, it's going to be interesting. And obviously, we're going to do the match preview for Man United this Thursday coming, and I think we're going to see Newcastle doing a lot better, hopefully doing a lot better out in possession. That's my hope anyway. So I'm hoping to see Newcastle rise to the level even more, because I think they'll have to against Man United. Despite their results and where they are in the league and what's happening, I do think they're still a decent outfit. I think there's the foundations of what Amarim is trying to do. That team is coming to the fore, and if we do win the game, I think it'll be a narrow victory. Anyway, I'm giving a lot of spoiler alerts if anything, but yeah, that's my initial thoughts. But my overriding point is I think that Newcastle will rise to the point. Great point there, Aaron. Aiden Pitcher, I was happy with the second half, but for the reason of it looked like they were saving themselves for the next fixture. Yes. Yeah. That would be harder. I think it was good fitness management. Yeah, you saw us slow down a little bit more. And we didn't, man, I won't lie to you. I almost had like post-traumatic stress watching Leicester a bit, because it reminded me so much of some of the difficult seasons we've had. I'm like, yeah, I recognize this. I've seen this before. Under McLaren, especially when we got relegated, and obviously Benitez tried to save us, and just different times on the Bruce and stuff like that, like just different areas. And I was like, it's just like, I see this, I understand this. But yeah, for us, obviously we've moved on, we've evolved, we've grown by the grace of God. And yeah, I agree with you. I think we did also manage it a little bit better. Could have been better in possession, as Aaron Kane said. But I also feel like we did better. We also did better managing our fitness. Mighty Mike, NUFC Talk TV. Good to see you, sir. God bless you, and good evening to you. Evening, Philip, and evening to you, sir. Hope you are well. All right, Marky, NUFC. Spot on, mate. That's spot on. Let us know who you're talking to, Marky, but good to see you. There's a couple good points on today, but good to see you, sir. First my time seeing you, so God bless you. Hope you're well. Bobby Fairview, big up Philip, bless up the chat. Magpie fans still want to trade in Murphy. Is that Murphy from Madueke? Yeah, I saw the game, Bobby, against Brentford. Ooh, yes, you guys got a lot. Chelsea got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of work to do, I think. Aaron Kane want to get people's thoughts on Callum Wilson. He ran around and caused some issues, but unfortunately think it's a step too far now for him. Maybe I'm being harsh, but we need rotation for Isak. I think we'll get a rotation for Isak anyway. I'm just interested to see how we manage it. I think there's maybe a couple of ideas, there's a couple plates that they're spinning. In my opinion, they're spinning at the moment anyway. Like if Newcastle, even if they get a new striker, say it's another young striker or whatnot, is it still worth keeping Wilson around in terms of just kind of keeping the score? And there's going to be a lot of changes. They're going to be bringing 4 players. I would like them to bring 5. There's going to be a lot of players sold as well to make sure that we keep up with the sales. They're not going to make any money from Wilson, and they want to be able to keep that harmony, that team spirit together. I think Hal's very, very big on that. So Wilson might not play as many games, but it's still a good 3rd, 4th choice to have, and maybe to keep the harmony of the squad together. Or maybe he just goes in the first day the transfer window opens. But yeah, I kind of see them spinning a lot of plates between Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell. But yeah, folks, let us know. Would you keep Wilson? Would you have him go? Would you not go away? But like, would you sell him on? Got that? Did I take that point? Oh, here we go. Yeah, Mark, you see your point about playing against bad opposition. Yes, yeah. You play what's in front of you. Yeah. And that's a way more concise way of saying it. I went a long way around of saying it. Yes, you play what's in front of you. that's exactly. Appreciate you for that, Marky. Wilson is washed, says Marky. Yeah, so already folks are saying we need to get rid, essentially. Aaron Kane won't ever say anything bad about Wilson for what he's done for us, but think he's definitely past it now. We need to reduce the drop off between Isak and the backup. Definitely, yeah, sure, definitely agree with you there. But look, let's have a quick look in terms of the stats over the game itself. Like I said, it's our fourth win. In fact, let me look at. I'll go to the league in a moment. Obviously 3-0 to us. We carried them, as I said, Leicester carried a little bit of the attacking momentum, opening 10-15 minutes. I said for opening minute, but maybe a little bit more than that. But then we just took over the game and we made it count, essentially. We even scored the goal when maybe the attacking momentum was a little bit against us. I don't know. To me, they got us in terms of attacking momentum. I just think I never felt nervous. I'm a bit hesitant to say they had the attacking momentum, but even when Leicester perhaps were attacking and had a little bit more about them going forward, we scored the first goal, we scored the second goal, and when it was our momentum, and when the game was dying down a bit, obviously the third goal came from Harvey Barnes. It was like Leicester were really, you can tell that they're just broken. They're broken. It's not a physical thing. It's not, they're not might not be as strong or athletic or not, but it's a mentality. They are a broken squad, and whether it's Van Nistelrooy who continues with them or a new manager, he's going to have to do a lot of psychological and mental work with that team. And in terms of player positions, let's have a quick look. Obviously, this is Leicester's here. Make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. And look, they took up a mid block, and they do this often, but it hurts them because they're not as good as pressing regardless. We saw that. We played right through their press. 38, 39-year-old Vardy can only do so much running, essentially, and the guys around him weren't helping him very much at all, in my opinion. Canusi and others, we're going through. I thought Shaw had a terrific game, in my opinion. Not much pressure on him. They try to congest that midfield, but we still played through their midfield, and then more time because we stretched the field so much with through our play. So let me just show what I mean. Let me show Newcastle's positioning. It's interesting because it kind of shows us not as pressing as high, and I don't think there was a need for it. So Bernard Shaw and I think it's Kieran Trippier here, very much spending most of the time together. And between Tonali and Bruno, they governed that midfield between themselves. Leicester had very, very kind of little say in what happened in that midfield. It was Newcastle all day very much. I thought Joe Linton played a lot, and it shows here, played a more central role, as he did against Brentford, I thought, and done really, really well. And we'll just govern the midfield in that way. And then here's a stretch of play. This is Livramento on the other side, playing at left back, having another great game. With obviously Kieran, is this Kieran Trippier? Number 23? No, it's Jacob Murphy, excuse me, not Kieran Trippier. Murphy on the other side, stretching that play again, making sure that whenever we went on the attack, it caused Leicester to have to expand and to try and avoid the overlaps on their defense, which they didn't do very well. Isak didn't have to have his greatest game. He just had to be there and kind of hold the line and create the gaps when he was pushing forward and create the gaps in between him, which the others like Tonali and Bruno in particular would fill in, and Joe Linton as well. It was it was very, very difficult for Leicester to have any say in this game. Kind of watching that game, and I feel kind of it's funny to say. Like it feels horrible to say. Like um, I guess it's the truth. Even stats will show that they had more of the possession, but then if you see expected goals, it's very much to our side. We didn't need that possession. We gave them possession a lot of the times. I think we gave away the possession, but we didn't need the ball, and that's just what happened in terms of we didn't really need the ball because they weren't doing much with it. Odo Pope had to make 2 saves. We had the more tackles, they had the more passes. We had the more total shots on goal, just far more efficient in front of goal, shots on target, hitting woodworks. I thought Leicester hit the woodwork. Was that offside? That must have been offside. More shots on target. We were just far, far more efficient with it. Shots inside the box, shots outside the box. Really, really, really good. Chances created, just far, far more goal efficient. We just showed our strength. Final third entries. They had the more final third entries, which is interesting. But again, it almost felt like it was by design, maybe, because they weren't doing much with it. Passes in the final third, we had the more of that. 70% to us, so that's people passing between themselves in the opposition half. They had the more crosses, they had the more long balls. It just wasn't working for them. They even had, more duels won. Again, it wasn't working for them. 50-50 on the ground duels. They had a little bit more on the aerial duels. Dribbles, they had a little bit more. But again, it just wasn't working for them, guys. Literally just wasn't working for them. And 3-0 the victors for Newcastle. I thought it was a very professional performance. It was difficult, like Mark said, is you play who's in front of you. I think our biggest enemy was Leicester City's just poor performance and poor mentality and broken mentality in terms of everything and how it's. Our biggest enemy was just not to get dragged into it, which I think on occasions we did, but especially in that second half. But at the same time, we wanted to maintain our. We just managed our minutes. We managed our game. Another clean sheet, 3-0. Exceptional. Harvey Barnes got a goal against his former team as well. So we keep marching on, and we set ourselves up very nicely for the oncoming game from Manchester United. And folks, I thought it was an excellent. Who was your man of the match, guys? For me, I'm so close to saying Shaw because I thought Shaw was really, really good and helping us playing out from the back and everything that he was doing. I thought I was to give special mentions. I thought Harvey Barnes did well as well. Again, trying to show himself for the ball, trying to do what Eddie Howe wants him to do, whether it's carrying the ball, passing, just making himself a nuisance. Even if the game isn't necessarily going your way, you're not getting the passes you want, or you're not getting the ball, you're not receiving the ball in areas that you want all the time necessarily. Still getting yourself involved, still keeping your head up, playing angry, like I said, making sure that that your presence is felt. Our midfield trio, it's hard to say because they just they just took over the game really. And but for me, I have to give it man of the match to Jacob Murphy. 2 goals for him. Played decent in terms of like working off the ball and just keeping us disciplined on that side of the pitch. But yeah, for me, Jacob Murphy with the 2 goals, and just after that will be Shaw. I thought Shaw was really, really good. But guys, let me know who was your man of the match. Let me know who you guys rated in the game, and we'll move on to a bit of transfer talk in a moment as well. So let me just see your comment before I'll do that. Aiden Pitcher, I think Wilson was better than he was against Leicester, but still well off it. I wouldn't mind extending his contract, but only if he accepted third choice and so they get a good loan move. And that I think he will. I think Wilson would accept that. I think Wilson would accept that. Yeah, he'll know, even if there's a team in the Premier League or like at that level, which I'd be a bit surprised about, that wanted him to kind of be their first team striker and and kind of lead the line for them for the season. He'll be like, yeah, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that. I don't have the legs and I don't have the body to do that. He's settled up north. He's obviously settled in Newcastle, and I don't. I'm not in the changing rooms, but from everything Eddie Howe says, other players say about him, and you just see him in clips, he just seems more like a vibe, like in terms of the team. And you need those elder statesmen there, in a way as well. So yeah, third choice. If Sola gets a loan move, the new striker comes in. He's either, and speaking of strikers, we're going to be talking about him today. He's either going to be rotating with Isak or playing with him as well. So yeah, like we're not going to make any money from Callum Wilson, and he's still decent to have around when we need him. So yeah, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no to that. Marky NUFC, wish Wilson was still at it. I really do, but we have to be ruthless with transfers. It's what big clubs do, and that's what we want. Fair point, Marky. Big clubs do like, they get rid of players, they bring in new ones. Obviously, Chelsea have done that this season. I think, though, I don't think there's a need to be ruthless with Wilson in the sense of that, because he's already come to the end of his contract and he's not taking up first team squads, and he's not like, I don't think he's demanding to be first pick. If that was the case, then yeah, I'll be like, nah, mate, we're selling you. Like, you can't be first. Like, it's Isak. Probably your Sola's ahead of you. Probably next year it's not going to be you, Wilson. So I don't think that's happening with. I'll be surprised if it's happening with Wilson. I think if we're talking about ruthlessness, it'd be, if you have to be ruthless, I think at the moment it's maybe selling some players where you're thinking, wow, you could keep them, but you also want to develop, like a Sean Longstaff, Harvey Barnes, I think will get sold this season as well. So I think that's when you're kind of talking about ruthlessness. But I don't even think Newcastle necessarily. I think it's all about squad building at the moment, and we're still very much in that phase. We're delayed by 18 months. We haven't been able to buy a first team player for the far past 3 transfer windows, 18 months. And so, yes, there's our squad needs to be, we need to make changes and stuff like that. But I've also learned that I feel like the squad in itself and what brings a squad together, the harmony between the players and kind of how players are looking after each other, I think is from the older to the guys in the middle, the veterans, and to kind of the younger players. I think you need that kind of demographic. Even the big clubs have it, right? Real Madrid have it. Modric is nearly 40 years old. I'm not saying Wilson is Modric, but in terms of age, in terms of seniority, he's there. But at the same time, they've got you kind of think of it, that's in the middle for them. Who's that? Mbappe and those guys are in their mid-20s and stuff like that. And then you got the younger lot. Jude Bellingham is still very, very young. For instance, Rodrigo and those guys. So, and it gets younger. So you want that kind of demographic, I think. I think you want that type of balance. But you don't want to have a Chelsea situation where they're all young and a lot of them are young, and the guys who are older are very fair and far between and have a limited influence at the moment. So you want to have leadership in that team, in my opinion. So, but eventually, yeah, obviously you're going to have to get rid of players they need to get rid of as well. So I think it's a balancing act. Aaron Cave, I really like Kanusi. He's a decent player. Was definitely Leicester's best player. Still young. Wouldn't mind if we take a punt on him. Fair play. We might do an analysis on him at some point. Aaron Kane, man of the match for me was Tino. He did have a good game. I forgot to mention him. He did have a good game. Mark NUFC, 3 points, move on to the Manx. And Marking 2 says Tino was outstanding. He had a great game. He had a really good game. Aiden Pitcher, I think Trippier was my man of the match. Okay, thought he was great. Yeah, disciplined performance, did his thing. Leader on the pitch, and great to have. Yeah, no, absolutely. I can see that. And it's so good to have him in this final, 9-8 games that we've got. Like, it's proven so important. Sophie B, good to see you. God bless you, Sophie B. Hope you're well. Even in 1-0, and Philip, 5 Champions League places confirmed now. Arsenal, of course, won 3-0 against Real Madrid. They just got to make sure they do it at the Bernabeu. Just make sure they don't, let them come back into it. But I thought Arsenal were terrific today. I have to be objective and honest about it. I don't know if you guys saw the game. I thought Arsenal were terrific. Declan Rice, Rose. I forgot who scored the third goal. Was it Marino? Was it Marino? It was Marino that scored the third goal. Fair play to them. Reminded me of PSG. Obviously, we weren't in the semi-final, but reminded me of what we did against PSG. So well done to them. And like you said, Sophie B, I think we've got 1 foot into that coefficient, that 5 places to come. And, like I said in the thumbnail, all the stars are beginning to align for Newcastle. We'll take it game by game, and we'll see. Sophie B, Wilson is completely over the hill. Wilson is completely over the hill now for me. Unfortunately, yeah, a few people have said that, Sophie. Excuse me, guys. A few people have said that. I need to cough again. Oops, sorry, guys. I've got a bit of a hay fever. Probably hear it in my voice. Sophie B. Yeah, was decent job done. 3 points on the board. Indeed. All that matters at this stage. How are you, Mighty Mag? Oh, you guys good. Guys, good. You guys talking amongst yourselves. Sophie B, professional performance, but could have scored a few more goals to get our goal difference up. That would have been cake on top. Are we like 3 goals behind Man City? Something like that. Behind Man City and Chelsea, maybe? I'll check the league. In fact, that reminds us to check the league table. And finally, Bobby Fairview. Eddie Howler. Eddie Howler better not bottle the Champions League places. Qualification is I love that. Qualification is in Newcastle's hands. Is it really? Is it really? I don't think it's in anybody's hands at this moment in time. I think it could be anybody. It's always interesting, Bobby, where we, being Newcastle, haven't spent a penny on a first-team player for the last transfer windows, whereas as yourselves have spent a lot of money on first-team players. Man City have one of the greatest coaches on earth and spent 200 million in the transfer window. I would put forward the argument that it should be in Chelsea's and Man City's hands. And it's Newcastle who are very, very much the underdogs and are performing incredibly well under our incredible manager and great team. So it really is up to the traditional top 6 to prove they still have the bottle. Let me know what you think of that, Bobby Fairview. All right, so let me just check on the league table before we talk about a few players that we've been connected to, a few strikers. We'll see the tie. We'll see. Hopefully, we can talk about both of them. So let me see if you guys can see that. All right. So we have. All right. So we've got it here. Let me make sure we've got it. You guys can see that. Yeah, you can. All right. So we're in 5th position. 30 games played. Most of the other teams around us have played 31 games. So, we've got a game in hand, essentially. If we're talking about Chelsea, Forest, Man City, Villa, we've got a game in hand. We've won 16 games, one more than Chelsea, one more than Man City, 2 more than Aston Villa, which is good to see. We've drawn 5 games this season, and we've lost 9 with a plus 13 goal difference. So we're 4 goals behind Chelsea, 4 goals behind Man City, and we are just 1 goal behind Forest when it comes to the goal difference itself. So doing really, really well. We're hitting good form at the right time. We'll get to that in a minute, but we've scored 52 goals this season, which is good to see again. Just 2 less than Chelsea, 5 less than City, and we've conceded 39 goals, 1 less than City. Oh, I hate it when it does that. Just refresh like that. Couple more than Chelsea as well. So it's like really, really tight between our teams. Really can't call it. And we're hitting good form, as I mentioned, in terms of like wins. 4 wins on the bounce. We're doing really, really well, and I think we're hitting form at the right time. So let me know what you guys think about it. Are the stars beginning to align for Newcastle? Obviously, we've got Man United next. We're going to talk about that game on Thursday, do a preview for that game, and see where we're at with it. And then obviously we've got Palace at home as well. That's the game in hand. So it's important. It's important to win these games and put ourselves up there. If we win both games, by the grace of God, we'll be 3 points ahead of folks. With 7 games to go or so, and in a good position. So let's see. I think we can do it. What's your guys' thoughts? So let me read a few comments before we go into talking about a few of the players. Aaron Kane for Man City missing Haaland. Forest dropping off recently. I'm just saying we have a game in hand. 3rd spot is up for grabs. Aaron's even looking at 3rd spot. Forget 5th. He said, let's go for, and we should always be looking higher. Honestly, we should always look and be higher. And I agree with that. I agree with that mentality. Sophie B, Chelsea will drop out. They don't look too good in form at the moment. Their form is terrible. It's been very, very poor. It has been very poor, especially since they won. I think Terry from Football Terry has mentioned today, I think since Chelsea won 2-1 against Brentford, and they were like 2 points away from first. I don't know if that was in December or something like that. Bobby Fairview, you can let me know. It's just been really terrible for Chelsea. It's been really, really difficult. I do think it comes down to youth and inexperience, and them trying to work out amongst themselves, and people trying to be of positive influence. There's going to be a lot of other it's going to be layered reasons as to why they're not performing well. They are creating chances, not always scoring them and putting them away, those type of things. But whatever it is, combination of things that are not working in Chelsea's favour. So if we win our game in hand, and Man U, we are 1 point behind the Forest, depending on their results. We're chasing them down. We are chasing them down, Sophie. Sophie B, they draw or lose, we go above them. Yeah. That's for Forest, isn't it? Bobby Fairview, no question. Chelsea scored 1.5 billion, and I'll take Newcastle's team. Fair play to you, Bobby. Fair play to you. Chelsea has already bottled our easy games. Our running is going to be difficult. Yeah, without looking at it, I know it's really difficult. I know it's really difficult running. One of those games is away to us at St. James's Park. And if we're in the mood, Bobby, which I think we will be, it could be a long night. Sophie B, yeah, Bobby and News have all have like 5 extra fixtures of conference. Yeah, you do. You still got Europe, don't you guys? Chelsea, yeah, you do. It's going to be tight, this running. Market NUFC, I have 100 on... Oh, you bet. I bet. I have 100 on 3rd and a cheeky £50 on 2nd. You never know. Dream big, guys. Let's go. I love that. Exactly. Dream big. That's what football's about. That is what football is about. So if you be Marky, that is possible, to be fair. Arsenal will concentrate on Champions League. Especially now they will. Especially now they will. Right, guys, so we spoke about strikers here and there. And I'm going to talk about two of them, depending on time. But essentially, I want to get you guys' thoughts, because Newcastle are looking for a striker or a forward. I'm going to say striker. The term always gets changed amongst the journalists. Striker or forward or striker. And the first one I want to mention is, and you might have seen from a post I made. Let me see if I can find it. Right. So it's this. It's not Isak. It's not Isak. It's his teammate in the national team, Victor Gyokeres. Now, a couple of things about this. So it essentially says, I'm going to kind of lay the foundations for it, which is this comes from Steve K from Football Transfers, and I want to say this because you're going to hear him speak when I read it out. Steve K has been talking about Victor Gyokeres' link to Newcastle since December, and it has always been in his mind from his sources. And again, I don't know what level of, I'm not going to tier him as a journalist. I don't know if it's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I haven't got a clue. I haven't read his work in depth enough to know. I know more about Luke Edwards from the Telegraph and, Mark Douglas from the I newspaper, and obviously Craig Hope and guys like that. So Steve K is relatively new to me, so I'm not kind of hanging my hat on what Steve K is saying. But he's since December, what I'm going to kind of give him a little bit of credit for is consistency. So he hasn't just come up with a story out of the blue. Since December, he's been talking about Victor Gyokeres to Newcastle, when so much of the media attention has been to Victor Gyokeres to Arsenal, or Victor Gyokeres to Man United, or Victor Gyokeres to Chelsea, and he's the one that's really been kind of pointing at Victor Gyokeres to Newcastle. And initially, it's always been about, all the hype about Isak leaving and Victor Gyokeres being as the replacement. And this is the first report now, the 6th of April, where he's saying, I don't think Isak's leaving. I think he's very much likely to stay, but Newcastle still want Victor Gyokeres, which leads me to believe that they're planning to have Victor Gyokeres join Isak at Newcastle. So, which made it, obviously, which kind of when I posted it really blew up on X. And but it's obviously a Steve K story. So Gyokeres' agent set for Arsenal visit and shot Isak a plan. So there's a lot going on here. Even his own colleagues, Steve K's colleagues on Football Transfers are all very much saying, our sources are telling us it's Arsenal, Victor Gyokeres to Arsenal, Victor Gyokeres to Arsenal. So fair play, and they could be right. But he's the one that's kind of, in my view, from what I can see and I'm reading, the impression I'm getting is he's the one that's been waving the flag, kind of going against the grain and saying, I think it's Newcastle. I know my colleagues are saying it. I know that people are saying that Victor Gyokeres representatives are going to North London, which is not unusual, for players' agents or family members to visit various clubs and stuff like that. So he's saying, I know this is what's going to happen, but I think Newcastle are still interested. So there's got a little bit of stats here on Victor Gyokeres. But yeah, look, he says the Swedes agents that Victor Gyokeres will be in attendance at the Emirates on Tuesday. So they would have seen the game today. They would have been very impressed by that. When Arsenal host Real Madrid in the first leg, they might be won over by that game alone, to be honest. This has added the fuel to the growing speculation that Gunners are preparing to make a serious move for the prolific Swedish forward in the upcoming summer transfer window. Arsenal's interest in sporting CP striker Gyokeres has intensified over the past week. Following the appointment of sporting director Andrea Berta, the Italian is believed to be leading the charge, having identified Gyokeres as a top striker for the summer transfer window. Okay, so fair play. So he's like saying this, there's overwhelming people saying it's going to be, journalists saying that Victor Gyokeres is going to Arsenal. Okay, cool. So Newcastle still, but then he says in bold, right, this is Mr. Steve K. And again, this is, like I said, this isn't the first article he's written about this. He's been saying this since December. Newcastle still want Gyokeres. However, Arsenal are not the only side with a concrete interest in Gyokeres. Since early December, Football Transfers has exclusively reporting that Newcastle also consider him a priority target, which is true. He does have articles since December. He does have that. Initially, the interest was driven by fears. So let me read that again. Initially, the interest was driven by fears over Alexander Isak, who is still regarded as Mikel Arteta's dream target for Arsenal and half of Europe as well. However, after winning the Carabao Cup, Newcastle, and I would add to that, and also being in the Champions League running, and Newcastle have made it very clear, and obviously the £150 million price tag, Newcastle have made it very clear the potential departure for their striker, for their star striker, is out of the question. Obviously, we've had that comment from our chairman, our Ramayan, saying this very much the same thing. Yet the interest in Gyokeres remains, and sources have informed us that Newcastle are plotting an ambitious move to unite Isak with his international strike partner. The plan to deploy, and this, so if people are thinking, because a lot of people are saying, because he's having now to explain how this is going to work, because a lot of people are saying, hold on, how are these two guys going to play together? They're both strikers. Gyokeres is never going to sit on the bench. Isak's never going to sit on the bench. Or you can't put Isak on the left wing, and all these other things, like all the reasons for it not to happen. Yet the both of them play together up front for the Swedish international team. Whether that can work at Newcastle is a different story, but they play together. It makes sense. If anything, the fact that we put a bid in for Anthony Elanga, you guys remember the finals day of last season, last summer transfer window, makes even more sense. Elanga obviously also plays for Sweden. He plays for with Isak on the right, on the left. I think Elanga plays on the left for them. So it makes a lot of sense. I have a feeling, and I was looking at the Sweden style of play. Again, nothing in depth, but it feels like they play quite traditionally, like that 4-4-2 with Isak. We're going to talk about it a bit more, but Isak and Gyokeres up front, Kulusevski on the right, Elanga on the left. There's kind of traditional wingers bombing on forwards. Two midfielders, one a bit more playmaky, the other one like an enforcer. Like it's very like old school Premier League Barclays type of midfield, 4-4-2 type of thing. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see if this proves to be the case. I know it's a massive if. It's such a big if. It's incredible. But if it proves to be the case that Gyokeres or a striker of his profile comes to Newcastle, whether it's also a sign of Newcastle evolving their style of play. Because at the end of the day, guys, we can't play 4-3-3 forever. Whether it's a 4-3-3 where we're in possession, 4-4-2 out of possession, whether something to do, we have to evolve as a team. Because I think in the Premier League, you either evolve or die. You do get found out, week to week, month to month, and so you have to always be willing to evolve the style of play to make sure that you're staying ahead of the game, you're keeping yourself competitive, you're keeping yourself fresh. Because if you don't do that, even Pep Guardiola himself said, I have to change my style of play. It's outdated. I have to play more like Brighton, Newcastle, Liverpool, Bournemouth. So you're going to see Man City style of play change. So, for me, it's not so far-fetched, is what I'm trying to say. It's not so far-fetched to suggest that Newcastle get a Victor Gyokeres or a striker of his profile to play for Newcastle and to play alongside Isak. Like, it's not so far-fetched for that to happen. Anyway, so this is what... So, Steve K evolves that by saying, how would that look if, like, what are they planning to do? Why are they looking for Victor Gyokeres? So, he says, the plan to deploy the duo together with Isak drifting into a left-sided role, reminiscent of Thierry Henry's days at Arsenal. I was looking at Arsenal clips today, especially in the Invincible season where he was drifting in from the. If you see it, like you'll see it, it's as if he's playing left wing, but he's not playing left wing. Obviously, he's drifting in centrally, but he's got the freedom to drift in and out from the left wing, which made him so dangerous because he could dribble. He's got the pace, he's got the power, he's got the link-up play, he's got the creativity. The tactical tweak could unlock new attacking dimensions, maximizing Isak's creativity while adding Gyokeres' predatory instincts to the front line. And we're going to talk about Gyokeres in a moment in terms of him, in terms of his profile and style of play. He's very much a centre forward. And he goes on to say that Isak obviously is untouchable for us, that we've also, Newcastle have inquired about Gyokeres on at least 2 occasions, illustrating that they are genuinely interested in the Swede. However, the response they received was one of indecision, probably because there's a lot of clubs after Gyokeres. Gyokeres has yet to make a final decision on his next destination, but there is a feeling that he would favour a move to Arsenal. Fair enough. As we previously reported, we being transfer.com, football transfers. As we previously reported, he turns 27 in June and he wants to play and challenge for the biggest competitions in European football. So he's got big ambitions, and Mr. Gyokeres, and a man of his talents would have big ambitions. So let me know what you guys think. So if I'm going to do a little bit of background in terms of his, what we see on transfer market for him, his ages, everything else, before we look at his profile and everything else. But what's you guys' thoughts on the story so far? Is it credible? Do you see it happening? Because I'll be honest with you guys, after saying all of that, I've seen some of these news stories of Newcastle being linked to Gyokeres for the last months, but I've always ignored them. And I've primarily ignored them because of the strong links to Arsenal, and obviously at times to Man United and other players and other teams, excuse me. So I've always kind of ignored them. I didn't, and they were always in the context of it's like leaving Newcastle and therefore they're getting Gyokeres. And I just didn't believe that story. I just didn't think that Newcastle, that's what we're heading to. So I've always ignored it up till now, until this story came from. Maybe because I'm looking for a bit of, maybe because of my own confirmation bias. Maybe because Steve K is the first journalist I've seen say that they're going to keep Isak and they're going to add another striker, which I thought they're always going to do anyway, whether it's Gyokeres or not. So, but let me know what you guys think of the story so far. So, market and UFC, we have a dream. We do have a dream. Yes, we are born with black and white blood. Absolutely. Aaron Kane, seeing Paul Mitchell has been scouring the South American market. Yes, I've seen that as well. And going after a player called Rayan. Yeah, seen that as well. Can't say I've ever seen or watched him play, but bringing in all the Brazilians. I was going to talk about Rayan, but I don't know about him. I want to talk about him when maybe I get Strasbourg Steve back on. For those of you guys that have seen a couple of our shows that we've done recently, I know he would have knowledge on him, and so I want to bring him back on. I want to do a bit of background on Rayan and watch him a few times before I kind of do that. But there's tons of teams that are looking for him. But Bobby Fairview, if you create a form table for only the games in the second half of the season, Chelsea's 11th and Newcastle 6th. And Newcastle 6th with a game in hand. Yeah, it's crazy. Market and UFC, can you imagine the Gunners meltdown if we get Gyokeres? That would be so funny. Watch how many shows I get invited onto as well to talk about it. And Sophie B, can't see us getting Gyokeres, but if we do, the Gunners meltdown would be elite. It would be absolutely. So then there'll be conversations about he's not really that good. Sesko is better, or this striker is better. You know that's going to happen. Aaron Kane, I think the money is there, but unfortunately can't see us signing Gyokeres. It will be a younger player with potential to fit Paul Mitchell's mold of a player, and priority remains goalkeeper, CB, and right. I always think it was going to be a younger player too. and I'll be discussing them in a moment. Sophie B, there is a few distant teams in the Conference League. Oh, it's about the Conference League. So this is why when Sophie B, this is why we need Champions League money before. I think our budget increases in the summer significantly, but still think we have about 150 to 180 before Champions League to spend. Fair play. Yep, Aiden Pitcher. I think I'd want someone a bit younger that that could develop. Maybe someone like a Samuel Agua. Butchered that name. I'm really sorry. From Porto, who I really like. I haven't seen too much of him, but he seems like a really strong physical player. But I'll keep a lookout for him, Aiden. So if he beat, I think we go for Delap. I think so too. I think we're gonna go for a power play. Personally, young English Eddie Howe. Sorry, guys. His English players, he does. And finally, Mighty Mag, a one for the future. I'd sign the kid from last night, leave him at Leicester till he's 18, them in our academy. Yeah. Was it Mangolo? 15 years old. 15 years old. Had a few good touches there, little turns as well. He's got a bit of talent there. Right, so Victor Gyokeres. So Victor Gyokeres, so far this season, 27 appearances, right? 31 goals, incredible. 7 assists, really, really good. 2 yellow cards, not bad at all. He's very much a centre forward. 1 meter 89 tall, so it's about what? Is that 6'3", 6'4"? Big fella. Very much an attacker, centre forward, right-footed. Plays for Sporting Lisbon, obviously. His contract expires in June 2028, so he's got a few years left. He's currently valued by Transfer Market at 75 million euros. So it's about 70 to 68 million pounds or so. And, I think he's got 100 million release clause or something like that, but it's understood that he's not going to get sold for that much. He's 27 years old. And transfermarket.com are usually quite reserved with their estimates, by about 10 million or so. But do I see him getting sold for 85 million euros? I wouldn't put it past. It depends who they do it to. I can't imagine them sending it to anybody in Europe. I don't know. Let's talk about him. Let's see. I don't see Newcastle spending 75 million euros on him. No way. I think the max we spend on any striker, like if we get the striker that we really, really want, I think we're looking at maybe 40 to 50 million, in my opinion. That 50 million would be like the max, in my opinion. Like it really would be, and it would mean if it goes any higher, we're not. We might compensate. We might not. Buy players in any other positions. He's a Sweden international. Good pedigree on the 18s, on the 19s, on the 20s and the 21s, and obviously in the senior team, where now he plays alongside Isak. He's played 26 games for Sweden with 15 goals, which is really, really good return, in my opinion. He's got a release clause. As mentioned, he's got a release clause of 100 million there. He's got a lengthy, and he would have at 26, 27 years old, kind of like a transfer history from Sweden, where he played for IFK to Bromma, to the under 17s, 18s, 19s. Let's see the 18s. Looked like he skipped a year. Went to Brighton. Didn't really play much at Brighton from what I can remember. I don't think he played much at Brighton. How long did he stay at Brighton for? He stayed there. He stayed at Brighton until from 2019 till 2021. And near that time, he was being loaned out to St. Paul in Germany, to Swansea, to Coventry, where things, in terms of, I think things improved a little bit for him there. Before, again, being loaned out to them again, a couple of times to Coventry, actually. before then finding his way finding his way to Sporting Lisbon, where he was sold for 24 million euros, which is interesting. And since that time, he's obviously done, like this year, for instance, he has played, like I said, 27 games, 31 goals, 7 assists. He's pretty much valuing, he's getting a goal contribution, whether an assist or a goal, every 73 minutes, which is really, really good. He's played about 3,500 minutes in total, which includes this year, which includes Champions League, various domestic competitions, and obviously the league itself. So he's having a very, very, very productive year. And he is, where is it? So let me see some of his stats so far. I wanted to see the individual ones. So when he was in the Championship, I don't know if this includes Swansea, but certainly would include Coventry. He's played 121 games in the Championship, with 41 goals and 15 assists. So that's about what, 66 goal contributions. So 1 and 2. It's not a bad return. In Portugal, he's played 60 games with 60 goals and 16 assists. Good again. Superrit, I don't know where that is. Maybe it's in Austria or somewhere. Played a number of games there. Europa League, 9 games with 7 goal contributions, 5 goals, 2 assists. UEFA Champions League, 8 games there with 6 goals. So really, decent, healthy return. He's even played in the FA Cup 8 times, scored 3 goals. So it's not bad. Like, really, really kind of good, kind of overall goal contributions and stats for him, like in terms of goals and assists, showing himself to be a creative player. Can't argue with it in terms of like his kind of overall contribution. But let's look at him in a little bit more depth. I've got his scouting report, his style of play, and let's think about whether he can play alongside, or he can. We know he can play alongside Isak because he does it for Sweden. But let's think about if we can do it for Newcastle. I think that would be interesting to see, and then we'll go from there. But in between that, let me see, Sophie B. Okay, so thank you for that, Sophie. Appreciate you. So that'll be £64.3 million, 64.3 million in pounds. Okay, that's expensive. I don't see Newcastle pay that for a 27-year-old. Yeah, it would have to lower, isn't it? Unless we do a player's cash swap deal, but again, we don't. It feels a bit untidy doing that, in my opinion. I don't see it happening. Not for that price. Like I'll genuinely be surprised. I know what you think, Sophie, and anybody else. I'll genuinely be surprised if we pay that. Even though he's got an impressive, goal and assist ratio. Mighty Mag, Sophie, that's loose change in your back pocket. Indeed. Sophie B, do you think Isak will get more of a free role if Gyokeres came? Well, that's what Steve K is essentially putting forward as to why Gyokeres is coming. And I wish I had more time, because I wanted to maybe learn a bit more about how Isak played for Real Sociedad. I need to read maybe some of Isak's earlier comments about what he likes to do, because there are interviews where he talks about his style of play, what he wants to do, whether he sees himself. I know we all see that, like, how good he is. He's a complete striker. He does this, he does that. But how does he see himself? Does he view himself as a all-out centre forward where, that's what he does? Or has he just been put in that position as he is for us, where he's not necessarily all out for us? Like, he's obviously plays across the front line, but he's our centre forward. But, I would love to know whether he prefers to play next to a Gyokeres or Gyokeres style type of striker and work around them, because maybe that's what he would prefer. And it might be, Sophie, that to your question around would he get more of a free role? Probably he would, and maybe in his mind he would feel more free. Does that make sense to you? Because if he's got somebody else that loves to kind of hold the line, like or likes to kind of be that kind of physical presence up front, and he can play in behind them and do his thing, maybe for him he feels more free doing that. But it's a great question. Let me know what you think, Sophie, and everybody else. Ginger Hoskin, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Sorry about my voice, guys. Philip, stop dreaming. His agent was at Arsenal tonight watching them slam 3-0. Yeah, that was a great game for him to see, wasn't it? We did talk about that, Ginger Hoskins, and I was saying that, that's going to be a very persuasive argument. But let's see. I mean, let's see what Arsenal offer him. And let's see what Arsenal offer him, what happens. But there's different possibilities. Aaron Cave, if Gyokeres was to come, I think Isak would have to play the 10 role behind him. Yeah, I think that would be the idea. So if you be, like a floating 10 role, but then which midfielder drops out? There's the question. There is the question, Sophie, because because it might be that really Newcastle are evolving. Because I thought because it might answer my question. Because you guys know that, for instance, Newcastle, I believe, from what I can read in articles, that Newcastle are going to buy 4 players. We're going to sell a number of players, which includes Sean Longstaff. And I always said, if Sean Longstaff gets sold, we need someone, a versatile midfielder. But if Isak has a free role, then the midfielder has to drop out. We're playing with 2 central midfielders. Therefore, we don't need another midfielder. Is this how Newcastle are evolving? This might answer a few questions, just throwing it out there. But great question, Sophie. Maybe that's opened up a bit of a Pandora's box. I don't know if that's the right wording for it. Possibilities, put it that way. So, excuse me, guys. This is from the Coach's Voice article on Victor Gyokeres' position and his style of play. This article was published in August 2024. So what's today? It's April. So about what? 8 months ago? 8 months ago. Or Victor Gyokeres. Powered by Y Scout. So they give their kind of version of how they feel like Gyokeres' style of play is and what he's about. So Victor Gyokeres' debut season with Sporting Lisbon was a resounding success. This was last year, leading to reports of interest from Arsenal, always Arsenal, from Primera League of the Month, Primera, excuse me, 5 Primera League Player of the Month awards, which is pretty good. Were a testament to his performance across the season. When he also picked up a league title in the middle, his goal scoring aided supporting the success as he scored 29 goals in 33 games, which to become Primera's top scorer, which is really, really good. Obviously, he was born in Sweden in 1998. He joined Brighton in 2018, went on to play for the under-23s and made 8 appearances for Brighton in cup competitions for the first time for the first team. So not too much. He didn't have that much of an impact in Brighton. Loan spells at St. Pauli, we saw that in Swansea and all that kind of followed. Gyokeres played 97 games at Sky Blues at Coventry, scoring 40 goals. Not bad. So there's a video above that will show that. And he established himself as a senior footballer in the Championship. His form caught the eye of Sporting under the management of the highly rated Ruben Amorim. Hence the links to Man United. They paid 20 million for him. So let me see a few of those highlights actually of Gyokeres. Can you guys see this? Yes, you can. Excelente. Look at that. Proper championship. It's raining. Is it raining? No. I don't know who he went to celebrate there with, but he is a big guy though. Nice finish into the corner there. That's him in the championship. And this is him picking up on the left side. This is where he uses his pace, his power, his ability to get back. To get in front of the striker. And they talked, and he shoots, fantastic finish there. How many empty stadiums he plays in front of? And they talked about this on The Athletic, where he likes to run on the left side as well. Sometimes take up the left when he comes off the flank. When he's like picking up on transition balls as well. So that might be where then Isak takes up a central role, or maybe Isak's the one who delivers in that ball as well. They're ball in the box, great finish, striker's instincts there. So, he's done well there. One thing I also noticed about this is they talked about in Athletic how, look at that great run, position himself, power, rid the challenge, past the keeper, excellent finish. Excellent. He's got real instincts there, real striker's instincts there. And on The Athletic, they talked about, look at his pace. Lots of pace, power, placed finish. That was a finesse shot. Really, really good. They talked about in The Athletic how they were concerned about how strong he really is, because maybe in the Portuguese league, because they showed a highlight of where like he's bulldozing through players and he's scoring goals all the time, and they were like, yeah, but that's the Portuguese league. And fair enough, Portuguese league is not even the top 5, top 6 leagues anymore. It doesn't even count Opta stats no more. But you see him here in the Championship, and we all know as Newcastle fans about the Championship. And there are no weaklings there. There are no shrinking violets there, right? And he's showing his physicality in these highlights to me, which suggests to me that physically he'll probably be fine, his strength-wise in the Championship there. See one more highlight there. Look at that ball over the top. Lovely touch. He was lucky there. He was a bit lucky there. But fair enough. He got it over the line. So some good stuff there from him. Let me back up a little bit. What do you guys make of him so far? Let me scroll down a little bit, otherwise I'm running out of time. But key strengths for him: technical and positional analysis. Gyokeres is a right-footed centre forward who can finish with either foot, so he's both-footed, really good. But scores mostly with his preferred right. He has the qualities to complete. He has the qualities of a complete centre forward. And it gets mentioned a lot of strikers that are particularly linked to Newcastle as complete centre forwards, of which Isak obviously is one. With acceleration to running behind and stretch the opposition, which we've seen. And that's where you can see him playing with Isak. Because when he runs in behind and he forces and this happens, we know this because it happens to our centre backs all the time, right? When a centre forward runs in behind, and because our centre backs are quite slow, but in general, it forces any centre backs to kind of follow, and it creates that gap between the midfield and the centre backs, and that's when the opposition's players fill in those gaps, and that's where you can see Isak coming into that role, that free role that you spoke about, Sophie. That's where Isak will come into that play, and the physicality to operate as a target man. His standout strength, however, is his ball striking and ability to finish with quality from a variety of areas. We've seen that in action. Gyokeres uses his pace and acceleration to exploit spaces outside the opposition's central defenders. He makes curved runs from central positions onto wider areas. You can see that here. That's his main thing. Seizing his opportunities when opposition defensive shape is disjointed, particularly when fullbacks are out of position. So he keeps players running. If you guys can see this example as well. So you see him making these runs in the behind. This is the ball coming over the top here. And just behind him, I don't know who that player is. I can't see it. Just behind Gyokeres, I can see Isak in his position, right? This is what I was talking about, Sophie, in terms of that free roll for Isak. So Gyokeres is happy to make these type of runs and force the defenders to drop back, and that's when you get these kind of gaps here in the middle coming to happening. You can see Isak coming in, Tonali or Bruno coming in and filling those gaps, or Joe Linton. And it gives Newcastle the ability to play on the transition. It gives Newcastle to also play with, because he's a target man, to be able to also have those type of players who are good in the box. And you got teams on the low block kind of being able to find their way and score as well with those type of players there. So he's got a really good profile. Okay, stop playing around. When receiving in advanced or wider areas, he looks to back central defenders into the penalty area and engage them in 1v1s. There, he will take smaller touches and his quick changes of direction to unbalance defenders, using this as a trigger to shift the ball and create a line of sight on goal to finish. During his time with a more conservative and transitional commentary side, so Gyokeres thriving these kind of opportunities. His movement in the box is really, really good. His intelligence in the box, his movement, which he uses to fashion excellent goal scoring opportunities. His with crosses and passes to the box, he positions centrally, close to the goal. So you can see, he's very much a poacher. And again, in these examples, you can see either it's Isak that's coming on from that left, providing the creativity, or the runs in behind. And because of Victor Gyokeres draws so many players to him, he creates these type of opportunities, which is interesting to see. By playing on the blind side, they talked about him there. Creative role. Gyokeres also creates chances, ranking 10th in assists, as obviously last year in the league. When positioned wide and unable to create for himself, he has shown the ability to scan, identify, supporting teammates, squaring or cutting back. So you can see him doing that here. He seems like a nightmare to deal with on the flanks. He's got a good weight of pass, all these type of things. So he's 6'2". He's able to use his physicality and stature to bring players, to bring others into play. He's capable of receiving against pressure by backing into defenders, and this is what we're talking about, low blocks. By pinning them while using his body to protect his position, receiving against pressure, he's able to use intricate and deft touches inside the box, which I'm sure Isak wouldn't mind, to sub teammates. And you can see why he works with Isak, in these type of areas. He's kind of clever one too. This time it's Beacon Carves again, who was actually joined up with him. And in these type of situations there, can we create, because we know that sometimes Newcastle are forced to kind of go out in the flanks, and where we've got those kind of triangles that we do, or those overloads. But if you've got an extra weapon through the middle, I don't know if you guys remember some of you, Demba Ba, I thought he was exceptional at this as well. So again, another option. Out of possession without the ball, Gyokeres is energetic, which we need. He engages defenders with intensity and jumps to press goalkeepers when required. He curves his pressing. So again, he works hard off the ball. He looks to seize upon any lapse of judgment of poor passes, using his agility and acceleration to intercept and pinch possession in dangerous areas. This is all about what Newcastle would doing really well. Like, in terms of off the ball, is really, really good. His progress with Sporting Lisbon has led to transfer links to leading Premier League clubs, including Arsenal and Liverpool. Any move would not only potentially benefit whichever club signs him, but also Coventry, who would reportedly receive a share of the transfer fee. So interesting, like a really glowing scout report there for Mr. Gyokeres. But guys, let me know what you think of him. And yeah, even whether it's Gyokeres or not, I like the profile, and I like Newcastle's thinking. If they are indeed, as Steve K said, there's a concrete interest in him. I can see them playing, Gyokeres and Isak playing together for Newcastle, not just for Sweden. I think it changes us a little bit though, in terms of how we play. But Newcastle need that. We can't be 4-3-3, 4-4-2 all the time. We have to evolve. We have to grow. We have to push the envelope. We have to progress. It has to happen. So I'm not like surprised if that were to happen, whether it's Gyokeres or anybody else. Unless Isak is right wing, yeah, I think Isak comes off the left for Sweden when he plays with Gyokeres. Ginger Hoskins, we slapped Arsenal 4-0 over the 2 legs we did. We are. We won a League Cup as well. Ginger Hoskins, Philip, like I said before, unless we buy 8 players, we will fail again if we get Europe. Did you see our second half subs? They were terrible. Our bench is crap. Championship standard, Villa have a better squad. And yet we are ahead of them and we've won a trophy. That's what I'll say, Ginger. I take your point. I'm not saying that we don't buy any players. I just don't think we're as bad as you think we are. But I do take a point that we do need to, and we will improve. Sophie B, yes, but as we add first team players, the original players drops down to your bench, improving the squad depth. Yeah, and that's the whole idea behind it. You have to always grow, always develop. We cannot stand in one spot. Aaron Kane, think Joe Linton drops out. Don't see us dropping Bruno or Tonali. Okay. In terms of who that midfielder will be. Yeah. Who can play in the double pivot with Isak ahead of them. It's always an option, isn't it? It's like it's going to be such a. And Sophie agrees as well. Can see it. Ginger Hoskins. So Philip, we have a striker who gets 20 plus goals. This is something we haven't had since Shearer. And your idea is to play him as a free role to lessen his goals and waste 70 million we don't have. It's not my idea necessarily. I'm just exploring whether if the stories are true about Gyokeres and whether that makes sense or not. And the Newcastle are looking for another striker, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think that Newcastle do have to evolve and do have to grow. And just like you said, like we need new players, we need new ways of going forward, and that also involves our style of play, and to maybe manage that in Europe as well. As like we said about Europe, maybe Eddie Howe and Tyndall and Paul Mitchell have got together and said, look, this is, if we're going to be in the elite club, these are the type of areas, this is how we need to evolve as a team. So it's not beyond the realms of possibilities. And if teams will be able to learn more, the more defenders play against Isak, the more they'll get used to him and what to do against him, right? Erling Haaland's been finding it. I know he scored a lot of goals this season, Erling Haaland, for instance, but, if you ask him, I'm sure he would say that, this year has probably been the more difficult year for him to score goals in comparison to others. And you don't want Isak to hit his third year and teams becoming used to him and how to mark him, what to do. If you now change his role a little bit, give him that flexibility to come off the left, as he does for Sweden, and he still scores goals for Sweden, he still gets the assists for Sweden, I don't see why he can't do it for Newcastle. He could get more. So he says he could get more than Gyokeres. To be fair, Gyokeres would free more space for Isak. Exactly, I agree with that. We have to make a Champions League squad on, let's say, 150 million. I don't see us spending big, says Jim Hoskins. I think Mitchell would have to go find a lot of talent. We are in trouble. We have overspending. I don't think we'll overspend. Hopefully we don't. I agree. Like, we have to sell. We have to make orders. We have to be sensible in how we buy our players. Make sure we make sales. Do all those type of things. So I do definitely agree on that level. So if you and if you get Champions League, it increases your spending power a lot. Yes, absolutely. Aaron Cave, all our attacking patterns basically are knitted together by Isak. Yes. A lot of them, yes. I think his goal output will only increase with space. He will get more being the focal point, and that's. I think you've said articulate that really well, Aaron. Couldn't put it better myself, and you might find even a more quality Isak. We only really got to see Isak play with Wilson, for instance. I think it was against Burnley, and I can't remember if we had three midfielders that day. If you remember last season, and we only got to see a bit of that, and we were pretty good, So I do think we're not going to stand still in our style of play. It's not going to be like this forever, and we have to move on. We have to develop. Sophie B, who's the other striker? Is it Delap? Let me move on to that next striker, Sophie. I'll do that now. I think I talked about Delap. You might have missed it, Sophie. So I already did Delap, actually. I can't remember what stream it was. Maybe it was last week. Some people were able to help me out. It's not Delap, Sophie. It is. I don't want to lose where I am, but I'll find it anyway. It is. This man, Moise Kean. You guys remember him from when he played for Everton? Didn't have the greatest of times at Everton. That is, it definitely accepted, and it talks about it in this article about Moise Kean. So let's talk about the link. So they give a lot of kind of background on Moise Kean here. This was in, I want to say yesterday or 2 days ago. Okay, yeah, yesterday, 7th of April, 2025, by Gabriel Stragpidi. And it was in Italians, but thank goodness for Google Translate. So, Fiorentina, Kean equals 4 years at Juventus. So he did 4 years at Fiorentina, 4 years at Juventus. The farewell depends on him. Milan, Napoli, and Premier League in the background. So they're fully expecting Moyes to move on to new pastures. He's had a terrific season. They talk about how he scored more goals. So he mentions here, never seen him like this. So, for instance, Kean has reached 22 goals in 36 appearances overall in all competitions, which is a really good return. Just to have a yardstick, the 2,000 born centre forward, he's 25 years old, has scored the exact same number of goals in his 4 years at Juventus. So he's coming to his own. And some strikers, he had he still has tons of potentials when he was particularly young, and there was a lot expected on him. Perhaps made a few wrong choices in the teams he's playing for, and the coaches who've managed him. But he's now at Fiorentina. He's now doing really well, and he's scoring goals. So this is what they've said about him, and the link to Newcastle. So first of all, they said that there is a clause in his contract of 52 million euros. So what's that? Roughly 47 million pounds, 45 million pounds, which is in our price range, and it makes sense. And it's exercisable. It's exercisable from the 1st to the 15th of July. So it's a date for us to keep an eye on in the transfer window from the 1st. So if any club is going to get in for that amount, or near enough that amount, that is the time. What do they say? He's currently on 2.2 million euros per year. So here we go. Who likes it in terms of the price? Fiorentina will play their cards, but it is clear that Keane's fate depends exclusively on their will. Obviously, it's translation from it's from Italian, so some of the sentences are a bit funny. When prestigious clubs like Arsenal, Tottenham, and Newcastle, we are prestigious now, can knock on your door, a thought about a transfer comes true. In particular, the Magpies have already made the first direct contact with the player's agent to get ahead of the competition. So they've stood out Newcastle as the only club, the first club to make direct contact with his agent. But the Premier League is not only one interested, so there's other teams like Napoli, Barcelona, all these other teams, but it's Newcastle that have made direct contact with his agent. So that is very, very interesting. So 50 million euros, his clause. He's 25 years old. We're going to go into it right now. He is on 2.2 million euros a year, having a really good season in Italy. Obviously plays for the Italian team as well. His teammate is Mr. Tonali as well. So they've got that connection there as well for Newcastle, that I'm sure he'll be telling him, come and join the two, my friend. And I think Tonali's success at Newcastle would encourage other Italian players that play in Italy, to say, hey, this is, we can make things happen here. Like I can develop, I can grow. Look at what's happened with Tonali, and he's winning trophies, and he's competing for Champions League. So there's a lot there for him. So it's a good link. I think it's a positive link. I think it's probably got more legs on it, in my opinion, than a Gyokeres one. A couple things. The price so far, his age, he's linked to Tonali. Well, Gyokeres got linked to Isak, to be fair. And there's other things here. So his versatility. So he's a centre forward, but that can play left or right wing as well, which is what Eddie Howe's Paul Mitchell will really look for, versatility. February 2000 is date of birth, so he's just turned 25. He'll be 26 next season, so he's 2 years younger than Gyokeres. Place of birth, Italy. His height is 1.83 centimeters, so he's about 6'1", 6'2". He's got Ivorian and Italian citizenship. He's attack centre forward, right-footed, and his contract runs out in 2029. He's currently valued at 40 million euros by Transfer Market, which is interesting. And excuse me, guys. This hay fever is playing up, but he hasn't got anything about his release clause in here, but obviously he does have it. So his valuation isn't too far from what his release clause is, and I think it's affordable for Newcastle, in my opinion. He's got a really good international pedigree, under 15s from Italy, all the way up to under 21s, where he now plays for the senior team. He's played 21 games for the senior team with 7 goals. Again, like really, really good. He's having a good year. He's well-traveled, started off Torino, Juventus, from Juventus, loads of loans out to Hellas Verona and places like that. Before he went to Everton, where he spent how long was he at Everton? From 2019 till 2021. I forgot he went to Paris Saint-Germain for 35 million euros. He only stayed there, he was loaned out to Paris, looks like. Yeah, he was loaned out to Paris, went back to Everton, then went to Juventus, stayed at Juventus again for 4 years. No, stayed at Juventus. Yeah, stayed for there 4 years before being loaned back. He's been on a journey before finding Fiorentina. It's a complicated one for him. And he's finding his feet now. It looks like he's finding his feet now. Everything's coming off for him. He's so far played nearly 3,000 minutes, but he's played 2,883 minutes this season. He has played in total 36 games, 22 goals, 3 assists. He's scoring a goal or making a goal contribution every 131 minutes. He's playing in a tougher league to Victor Gyokeres if we're going to compare them. And he's doing well. Like he's having a good season. Let me see if you see some of his other stats. Like he hasn't scored this many goals before, these many assists before. They see him as a centre forward. So this season he's played, again, very interestingly, this season, all 36 games, he's played in the centre forward role. So he's versatile. He can play in the wings, but this season, where he scored all these goals for Fiorentina, and I wish I had more time because I would have learned how Fiorentina play. He's played that centre forward role, which is interesting. So overall in Serie A, he's played 142 games, but we know it's been really up and down. It's only this season now he's scored 39 goals, 6 assists. He wasn't great in the Premier League before, 32 games and 2 goals and 2 assists. Everything else is a bit, underused and cups like that. So this year really is when he's really hitting his form. So it's interesting that Newcastle have contacted him. But let's look at why they've contacted him. There is an article about his profile as a player and what he's about. And then we'll get you guys' views to see. We'll see a little bit of highlights of him and see you guys' views on him. So this is in November. Let me make sure you guys can see that. You can see that. So this is in November 2024. So what's this about? 5 months ago, 6 months ago. And they acknowledge it. It's been 8 years since Moise Kean became Juventus' youngest ever debutant in the 2000s, to play in Europe for top 5 leagues. and in the UEFA Champions League, winning domestic doubles in the first league before heading out to loan for Hellas Verona. Since then, Kean has bounced around from Juventus to Everton to Paris Saint-Germain to Juventus again. We saw that in the transfer. It's been everywhere. He looks set to join Atletico Madrid on loan in January 2024, only for the medical to reveal that his tibia injury was 3 weeks away from healing. So he's still injured. Kean has struggled to live up to his early form that saw him make his senior debut at 18. As well as being shortlisted as one of the 10 nominees for 2019 Copa Trophy. So he's really been struggling to get to be that guy. So there's a lot of kind of accolades around him. However, as he approaches 25 years of age, it seems Kean is finally finding his mojo and making the transition from an eternal golden boy to a seasoned striker who can deliver at the highest level. The Port de Mont native is a versatile and active attacker who moves between the lines to offer himself to his teammates and generate a more dynamic offensive game. His blistering speed and dribbling skills make him a nightmare for defenders on the counter-attack, and he also has great static dribbling. That is very useful against rivals who close down the space. So static means stop, so being able to stop and then move off and kind of accelerate speed. He has an elite change of pace that talks about here, pace accompanied by his dribbling and on the run to reach the box and finish the play, one of his greatest virtues. So he's got great dribbling, which is really good. Kean's great finishing skills are characterized by his exemplary first touch. He's a killer in the penalty area. As far as his demarcation is concerned, he almost always moves along central line, a lane, although he can also do so on the left wing due to his great ball control on his right foot. Interesting. So he's a versatile guy. One of the great assets is ability to play on the counter-attack. His speed allows him to use space and quick transitions, again, giving us that ability to hit the ball over the top and just hit teams of the counter. And interesting, again, although his primary role is to score goals, Kean is also a defensive workhorse. His ability to press defenders and goalkeepers, just like Gyokeres, is a positive aspect of his game, especially in teams that implement a higher pressing game, like Newcastle. Like Palladino's Fiorentina, Kean is a great striker who, if he improves a few points, will be one of the best nines in Serie A. High praise. So he's struggled for consistency throughout his career. He's had good periods in games before. Improving his consistency is the big thing for him, and kind of finding that stability in his evolution as a striker. Is his next kind of holy grail to do that. They want to improve his decision making. Sometimes it's a bit hasty. Let's see. Although he's a player with enormous potential, his level of play sometimes varies. Palladino, known for his ability to move and develop players, could help Kean to be more consistent in his performances. I think Eddie Howe can help him too, and be more decisive in moments, especially in important matches, which is fundamental. So this is interesting. Fiorentina play two systems on paper, 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1, in both of which the ex-Everton striker has been boosted by the style that Palladino brings to the team. He likes to play with possession football, or does not like to seek a full possession style, just like Eddie Howe. Like Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, Palladino tends to go for controlled football where possession is off the ball is key to disorganizing opposing defenses. He likes to play out from the back, Fiorentina style, using quick circulation of the ball to wear down and find space between the opposing lines. This also allows him to dominate the defensive phase, minimizing quick transitions. Palladino prefers ball control. He's also aware of the importance of high pressing and quick ball recovery. So his team work really, really, really hard. So they're expected to have to put pressure on the ball and be intense. So playing for Newcastle isn't going to be, I can't believe how intense it is. He's going to be used to it from Kean's point of view. He's lethal from counter-attacks. If we analyze the style of his coach, Kean is an ideal fit for the Fiorentina team, helping to enhance those spaces between the opposition lines, helping a lot in high pressing, which makes it difficult for the opponents to get out of the game. Palladino values the versatility of this player, the ability to move fluidly through the pitch. Kean, with his ability to play not only as a centre forward, but also in wide positions, which is what Newcastle look for all the time. Players with versatility. He can finish with both feet. Kean can. Palladino started creating chances through the through ball. Newcastle, that helps for Newcastle. Kean is very effective at getting out of the box quickly and taking advantage of cross balls. His presence in the box, ability to take advantage of rebounds, through balls, fundamentals, so he's good at that. Especially that would help against low blocks. Moise Kean is an explosive player with speed and ability out of the box. He's ideally suited to exploit the transitions, which is what Newcastle are about as well. There's a lot of stuff here. We're going to get a few of his highlights in a moment, but there's so much stuff on him. Allows him to adopt different formations. So Kean, this is another reason why Newcastle. So Kean's versatility allows him to adopt different formations and roles within the tactical system. So do we want him to be a centre forward? Do we want to play him on the wings? While his ability to exploit spaces on the counter attack is complemented by Palladino's mentality of playing fast and taking advantage of moments. Let's go a bit forward. He's amassed 14 goals and 3 assists. He's hit double figures for the first time. He'll be looking to pick up where he's left off. So lots of versatility, pace and power, fluidity in terms of the teams he plays for. Works hard, really hard off the ball. Works for a very intense team from what Fiorentina sound like. A team that's in quick transitions and everything else like that. We like to press as well. He's got excellent dribbling skills, great first touch, can improve on his decision making, and needs to improve his consistency as well. So let's look at him. Let's look at his highlights a little bit and see what you guys think. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Here we go. And this is from 2025. I think it's about a month ago. So he's been compared to Ollie Watkins, Alberto, and Nicholas Jackson. Interesting. Pace, finishing, instincts. A lot of ability there from him. Let's see what they've got to offer us. So that's his ability on the ball there. That's him picking up on the right side. Oh, look at that. That's on the right side, dribbling, passing. I think that's what they were talking about, his ability on the ball, his explosive speed there. Great one-to-one. I can see him working really well with Isak and kind of changing roles, centre forward, 10 role, being very versatile. You can see the athleticism, the pace, great heading there as well. Being there available for his team, playing through the centre, looking up, good finishing. I think I saw this game as well. Him taking up position in the box, made some separation between the striker, great headed down as well. So you can see that he's really liking that Fiorentina, picking up the ball on the right. Great finish there as well. This time scoring with his right foot as well. This is what they mean by quick transitions. This is him picking up from his own half, driving with that ball. Again, pace, seizing opportunities. Great finish there as well. Really versatile. Again, it's going to show him picking up the ball from his own box, carrying it, driving up the field. Him again being the outlet, great first touch there. Again, his ability allows him to get off there, good first touch, not waiting around to see his good work, makes the run in behind the lines as well. Again, picking up on the flanks there. Good heading as well. I wonder how many goals he scored with his head. So great play there again on the flanks, dribble, 1-2. Look at that little sidestep into the box. Great stuff. So I'm really liking Moise Kean. I can see it happening because of his age, because of his price, and some of the connections to Newcastle. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Let me get your thoughts before we move on and we wrap up the show. Ginger Hoskins, Phillips, since Mitchell came in, we've had money to spend. So I think we hired him to find gems, not waste money. It's remember Amanda and co-made us have no money to spend because they used all we had. Now I think he'll be smart with the money. I'm sure he will be. I agree. Aaron Kane, I really like that striker Steve recommended before. The player that played for Run. I think that's the kind of profile we'll be targeting. Fair enough. Yeah. Ginger Hoskins, Philip, don't get me wrong. I think that Silverstone has a lot to cause just getting Adidas won't cover us and will cost us like Longstaff's 80k a week, 20k bonus. It wasn't just Adidas. I think he got 13 sponsorship deals. Silverstone's has. I think we just got to qualify for the Champions League and make more revenue. But I agree, we need to make more revenue, Ginger Hoskins. So if he be, yes, I remember him and he can stay where he is, thanks. Aaron Cave, I've watched him play a few times. Very lightweight, in my opinion. Who's that? Let me know who you guys talk about. So if he be, they play in a conference league, he would have got a lot of goals there. Aiden Pitcher, I'm not keen on Kean. I think he's a bit lightweight. Fair enough. Not a Prem player, in my opinion. Thinks his number would drop down again if he returned to the league. Yeah, I can understand that. I can see that. Aaron Cave. Hate to say this, but just to get the feeling Eddie will still want DCL. Oh, no, please no. Please no, Aaron. We know how much he loves English players, and I don't think Paul Mitchell will allow it. I hope Paul Mitchell will allow him, Aaron. Justin Phillip, he's a Prem proven, but his goal rate be a great rotation player. Is that Moise Kean? And he'll be good depth. He'll be good depth, maybe. How much will he cost? 44, yeah. About 44 million pounds, yeah. So guys, we've come to the end of the show. As I'm doing my conclusion, let me know if we had to sign either Gyokeres or Moise Kean. Do let me know which one you'd go for. Is it Gyokeres or would you go for Moise Kean? Let me know. But guys, we've had a great show today. We did a match reaction to the Leicester game where the team showed a professional performance. Things to always improve, but the main thing is we've got 3 goals, clean sheet, and 3 points on the board. And our Champions League race continues. And we're ready for Man United. We're going to be talking about them this Thursday. We did some transfer talk. We talked about, obviously, Mr. Gyokeres, who now is being talked about as that guy who could be playing alongside Isak as well. And I can see whether it's a Gyokeres or someone of his profile playing together with Isak rather than a rotational player or a rotational player, in my opinion, as well. Moise Kean, I think we also talk about Moise Kean. I think he'd be a far more accessible striker, in my opinion, if that makes sense. He's younger. He's played in the Premier League before. He seems to be coming into form right now. And he has a lot of qualities in his speed, his dribbling, his athleticism, his first touch, his versatility, and the price. The price is really, really good for Moise Kean as well. So I think Newcastle will more likely go for Moise Kean than they would for Victor Gyokeres. But guys, as always, you've been with me through this whole 2 hours. You've been an absolute blessing. I want to make sure you guys have a great evening. And look, we're going to talk about Man United as well. Our match preview for Man United this Thursday. Do look out for that. I hope you have a great evening no matter what you do. And as always, folks, make sure you look after each other. And God bless you, folks. Take care now. Take care, folks. My computer's totally paused. Take care, folks. Have a great evening, guys. God bless.